when you're creating a 9.6 earthquake, the biggest of all time, the challenge was not only what would that look like, but then how do we make it real, shocking, and truly immersive?
Run! Come on!
I was in the Northridge earthquake in 1994 in California, and it's never left me.
The San Andreas fault line is something that's real, and it's 810 miles long, and it is something that Californians have to deal with. At the same time, we have to take liberties to make a really fun disaster movies.
The movie is basically people versus Mother Nature, and so I had to bring Mother Nature. It's such a massive undertaking.
Run!
Depicting the number of earthquakes in this movie was a big challenge because you want them to look and feel real, and you want them all to have different characteristics because every earthquake is not the same. Some of them jolt, some of them shake, some of them feel like they shudder. They all kind of have slightly different feels. So all our research directly factored into how realistic the movie would feel.
We found a piece of reference where you can literally see these tall skyscrapers that are 50, 60, 70 stories actually swaying against each other. And so that reference just led us on a whole path. There's going to be some of those buildings that will collapse, but the others that are more modern will sway. And so we built that into our scene.
When the earthquake goes down in Los Angeles, in that hotel restaurant, that is a 5-minute shot, all one shot, and it is spectacular.
We built the top floor of a hotel downtown. It was built on a gimbal and shaker boards, and
Everything's interactive. There's not just kind of actors against green.
The camera work itself is all very handheld. It's very little smooth, cinematic move because we want to bring that sense of the audience experiencing the earthquake with the actors as much as possible.
Carla did it, we did it in 2 takes, and it's pretty insane.
Really wanted the audience to feel like we are really in this building, it is really going down. The challenge is how do you make the set shake and also be able to have a cameraman filming all of this and not falling over while the whole set is shaking. The solution we came up with was, as opposed to shaking the entire set, we shook every other element in the set. And I think when Carla was running through the restaurant, she really felt like this was happening around her.
There's fireballs, windows are shattering, there's people bleeding. So it was this massive dance that really kind of had to be conducted by the camera operator and the stunt team.
We go out of doors, we go around a bar, the bottles are exploding, the lights are crashing. I mean, people are catching on fire. It's so crazy.
She did an incredible job. I'm so proud of her. Pulled off by an amazing crew, pulled off by Carla. My shots aren't 5 minutes. No, 5 seconds. That's it. Cut.
You see Daniel Riddick take refuge in this alcove and he ends up throwing a person out into this oncoming dust tsunami.
The special effects are providing the wind and basically a manipulation for dust, fire it off in one quick blast, and then the stunt department, they've got to ratchet people away so they get pulled away by it.
We rigged a sequence. The person that gets dragged out ended up getting ratcheted backwards down the road. There was another guy that had fallen onto the ground and got ratcheted along the ground. There was a girl running past that got ratcheted frontwards, and then we had another guy that skimmed off the windscreen of a car.
It's great for us as actors just because it's so much fun to do that for real.
Get down! Get down!
One of the biggest challenges was we have a building that gets hit by a tsunami and then sinks slowly. Coming up with a way to get a 9,000 square foot office floor to sink on camera with actors in it was very complex.
We were in the largest tank in Australia and one of the largest tanks in the world. Over 2 million gallons of water in this thing, built to scale. 5-story building that had to flood in an instant.
The floor of the tank itself can actually drop and go side to side. So you're not actually filling water, they're dropping the floor, which is kind of amazing.
It's not a camera trick. We're lowering this gigantic building and, you know, shot for what it is. You have a kid on a tow line underneath the water getting pushed because the currents got really out of control, and Ben's face looking out from this doorway as the water rises up, and he's losing the ability to see Blake at all. And the next thing you know, the doorway's gone. And, you know, he's saying it to his brother, we gotta keep going up, the building's sinking.
Oh my God!
The building's really sinking. Like, we really sank the building multiple times.
And you walk by and you just see this gigantic building sticking out, and there's towers and dump tanks. Oh yeah, that's San Andreas. That's how we roll. So
The tsunami. We gotta get out of the bay now.
You're doing this in camera stuff so that when you capture it, you're like, that looks awesome. I believe that. It made this very, very safe environment feel very, very dangerous.
We wanted to immerse the audience in it. We wanted them to get lost and feel what it feels like to be inside an earthquake.
Everyone, they did an amazing job. Feels real, and it looks great. I'm very happy with it.
Making San Andreas was a thrilling, heart-pounding ride.
For someone like Dwayne, being a larger-than-life hero, played to all his strengths.
Dwayne is spectacular in the film and
someone who can do some extraordinary things.
Want to do a rehearsal with camera?
Yeah. Brother, let's shoot.
while making San Andreas, we like to make sure that it's authentic and we put our actors through it. So they all take great pride in doing a lot of their own stunts.
They wanted to do it. They wanted to prove themselves. Dwayne is like, I get to rappel out of a helicopter? Hell yeah.
We open the movie and it's a mountain rescue. A car's gone off the side of a cliff. And it's really designed to set up Dwayne as our lead hero.
We constructed a helicopter pod, which we hung in one of the sound stages. And then we just went through how he would abseil practically. You know, he nailed it as he does.
Hold on here.
Winds are variable, 270 to 300.
Wind up, dust up.
My first day on set, I saw a girl hanging in a car on a cliff that had been made on the back lot with the biggest fan you've ever seen in your life blowing dust.
We had a cliff wall that was 4 or 5 stories tall and about 100 feet across with a car in the middle of it that would bounce up and down as it would if it was starting to slip away.
Oh, thank God. No, Natalie, do not move!
Oh my God, oh my God! Because they jolt the car, they fully, the whole car jolts, and then they take it back up to 1.
We had a real helicopter up above. It was not operating, it was hung by a gimbal, but allowed Dwayne to rappel out of there for real.
Rolling, rolling, rolling!
I was rappelling out of the helo, all the way down, one shot down the side of a mountain.
Dwayne rappelled 150 feet. My camera chases him, overtakes him, and then comes around him as he lands.
We had wind and dust blowing around us, and it gives us this great real shot that is not a visual effect or a special effect. It was actually done for real.
Natalie, don't you worry. I'm gonna get you out of here. I got you. You've been great. You've been a trooper.
The man's ice, man. He's got ice running through his veins. There's nobody I'd rather have in extreme situations than Dwayne.
He's a big guy, big personality, big heart. I would want him to rescue me. You'd go, that guy. Thanks.
Dwayne Johnson in real life is the guy you want to come save you. He is a phenomenal athlete, and he will always go the extra mile for you.
You look at the guy and just have no question he could handle anything. You actually believe that this guy could do a lot of this stuff.
Not today. Emma, get to the roof. I'm in the helo, and I'll get you from there.
Dwayne Johnson needed a very strong female lead, Carla and Dwayne.
They become a real team.
Rooftop Rescue is a complicated one because there's actually like so many miniature stunts within the sequence. Carla running across the top as this building is collapsing.
This movie has required a lot more on a physical level than any movie I've ever done. Never done wire work until this movie.
Carla is amazing. She gets on top of the building and then the floor gives way. We called it the pancake rig.
She is powerful.
We did 12 takes, and every time I went to her, I said, we can move on. She was always like, no, I got one more in me.
The roof is collapsing. She has a near fall into an elevator shaft.
That was a really good take.
She even gets dragged up into the helicopter by Dwayne.
It's in these moments when characters are in crisis that all of a sudden only what really matters counts. It's been so great to be able to get on the edge of that cliff with Dwayne and jump out metaphorically, and actually literally in this film, together, because with that kind of trust, it just comes much better work. So we've been having a blast.
Got you!
Once they rescued her from the rooftop, all of downtown is collapsing. All the skyscrapers are coming down. We would put them up in the helicopter gimbal and start whipping them around. I built 3 gimbals. Like, one would do this, and one would go extremes like that.
Hold on!
The other one would rock like this.
I mean, we've been at, these crazy angles. It's been very thrilling on that level.
There's nothing that has wings or wheels that I do not operate in this movie, including a boat. A very fast boat.
One of the biggest challenges was there's a whole sequence where Dwayne and Carla are driving through the streets of San Francisco in a boat. And as a result, we had to come up with how do we pull that off?
They'd found that the boat and the gimbal on the green screen stage really worked the best because it gave you the most flexibility so that they can then just focus on just what they need to focus on, which is just the acting.
Helicopter gimbal was then modified to become the boat gimbal. Turning it around and adding another axis would mean a hovering chopper can then become a boat.
The tsunami hits, and Ray makes a decision that he's not going to lose another family member.
We have a big underwater rescue sequence. That was probably the hardest thing that anybody in the movie had to do. Dwayne and Alex really had to train for that.
There was a lot of swim training that involved train yourself to hold your breath for as long as possible.
Really demanding for her was obviously her drowning sequence. Being rescued by Dwayne, basically getting dragged around the set pieces, underwater and then under doorways and up stairwells, and she did great.
The big thing with Dwayne was, because I need him to move very quickly, was finding ways that he could propel himself through that set, whether it was handholds or push points or anything that he could grab onto, that he could use his upper body strength.
My character's drowning, and there's just a little bit of room between the water and the ceiling. You get this claustrophobic feeling. If you just don't pay attention to, all the safety people, you can sort of convince yourself that this is terrifying.
As we slowly sink the set, the water level's rising as Dwayne rescues his on-set daughter.
We're capturing the action of him breaking through a doorway. It's all submerged. And he goes for Blake and brings her out.
One more push up. Yeah, sure. Can you come up a little bit higher and try that?
Okay, cut there.
Cutting there.
There was a lot of complex stuff, especially when he was carrying Alex, that he had to do. That was probably the hardest stuff, just because you don't have all your hands and you're in 9 feet of water on a submerged floor. The best thing about Dwayne is, like, any challenge he sees, he's like, all right, I'm gonna nail this. He's not intimidated by the moment. That's one of the amazing parts of the movie, is that I think a lot of the emotion that comes with that is not something people are expecting from Dwayne. But that's one of the reasons why I really loved him for it, was I'd never seen him play a character like this. And he was great.
To watch it back now, you realize just what great value that brought to the movie, because it truly immerses the audience. There's a fabric to what they're watching that just feels real, and we knocked it out of the park.
Come on!
Andrew loves writing music. You can tell he just loves what he does. I had such a good experience with him on Journey 2 that I obviously invited him and said, do this again. And this was a very different challenge. There was no roadmap. This was, how do we build a very original, very epic, very emotional score.
Brad is a very unique director in that he thinks about music from the inception of the project. You know, even from the script stage, he wants to talk about themes and how he can help tell the story with music. Brad always focused on the character side of it. So while it is a movie with a huge disaster, it is ultimately a movie about a man trying to rescue his family. It was fantastic for music because it allowed me to do things on a very grand level, but it also allowed us to have these themes that were very internalized and very personal. Our vision for the music on San Andreas was to not approach it as themes for specific characters, with the exception of Dwayne Johnson's character. You know, we call it the hero theme, and what I love about it is that it's based on him, but it's shared. Through the course of the film, you realize his wife has a little bit of this heroism, and his daughter, and even Paul Giamatti's character.
One of my favorites is the 10-year-old boy.
Yes.
There's a 10-year-old boy that steps up, and he just like makes the hard call. I was like, that's the hero theme. Everybody who's in a tough spot is being rewarded in a way by the composer saying, like, wow, this guy's stepping up. We have music that plays over Dwayne and some kind of very traumatic experiences.
We call it the purity theme because all of this is happening as Dwayne and his family are mourning the loss of one of their family members. We wanted to use the music to almost be the ghost of this utopian family that they once had. And so we have this very beautiful theme, very still. It almost transcends all of the disaster and all of these moments that are going on. One moment specifically where the daughter is dying and Ray is trying to save her, and she's basically accepted her fate. So the music is also accepting her fate and almost treating it in a very beautiful way.
The thing that I love most about working with Andrew is there is no hesitation to try things.
The very first conversation Brad and I had, we happened upon this video on YouTube that was a programmer in Berlin who had taken data from earthquake waves and converted it into music. We were both very inspired by that idea.
Andrew went to an area in the San Andreas fault line and recorded a lot of different sounds from the fault line. That is the bass line of our score.
And that's something that is really cool in the film.
A lot of people won't recognize it because it's very bassy and he sped it up, but that is the actual fault line.
The other thing we talked about, Brad said, you know, how can you capture destruction in music? So a very funny thing happened. I got an old piano, and my assistant Neil and I spent 2 days in the studio destroying it. We suddenly had this instrument that was broken, but barely hanging on by a thread. So I would sit and play notes, and it no longer really sounded like a piano, but it was suddenly this whole new instrument. And those raw sounds are heard in with the orchestral elements in the film. We were always talking about what is the sound of the earth. In the process of destroying the piano, one of my programmers took that sound and put it through some of his modular synths.
We get a little more bass out of it. Yeah.
And we just got this incredible, raw, terrifying noise.
Okay, one more time with feeling. How about this? It's a little bit more crunchy. Yeah.
And it just feels almost like a fist dropping its hand on the rest of the score.
So he laid it in, I think it was like 3 times. And I made this joke. I was like, we got to stop being so Canadian here. Like, we're being way too polite. And so I was like, let's just go for it. And I think in the movie there's 12 now in a row. Like, I was just like, again. It was just like a really enjoyable thing because it was pushing the score, it was pushing the storytelling.
Good.
Well done, everyone.
Every cue, we spent a lot of time finessing and figuring things out. It's very inspiring for me to work with somebody who is such a storyteller.
With Andrew, I've kind of found like a musical partner that's willing to go there and responds in a great way when you do push.
It feels like I have someone in the trenches with me creatively who is as much a wide-eyed 6-year-old kid watching a movie as I am.
Okay, here we go. Let's roll camera, please.
3, 2, 1, go!
Crazy.
Go.
Are you okay? Hey?